Welcome to the Young Granny Show. I'm your host, Brittany. We're skipping the midlife crisis and diving straight into the cozy world of all things Young Granny. I will highlight artists and creators who share their passion for slow living, creativity, and the art of a handmade life. So grab your yarn, a cup of tea, and let's get started. Welcome, Emily, to the Young Granny Show. I'm super excited to have you on today.
Thanks for having me. This is so fun.
Yeah. So Emily is a homeopathy expert. She runs a business called Homeopathy with Emily, and she's going to teach us all things homeopathy today. Let's start with, what do you have in your comfort cup?
So I'm drinking tea right now. I told Brittany a few minutes ago I have it in my Stanley so it stays hot. I like my drinks to almost burn me. Not quite. Almost to boiling, but then it has to kind of stay at that temperature. But I've got tea right now. Huge coffee person, but in the afternoon, a little bit easier on my stomach and not so much caffeine. So
yeah. What's your tea right now?
I am obsessed with this. I'm so embarrassed because it's expensive. It's like one of the Republic of Tea. They're like $15 for a can. But this is their strawberry vanilla. It's so good. And it's caffeine free, so I mean that's a plus.
Yeah. Do you put anything in it, or is it good just the way it is?
I like it plain, but I do a little sugar and a little cream, like any sensible person would.
Of course.
Yeah.
You and I are opposite with temperatures. I have to have it warm. My husband, it drives him nuts. My coffee, I'll drink over an hour and a half in the morning, and it's just cold at the end, and he's like, how are you okay with this? And I'll let it sit for a half an hour before I start to drink it, so it's warm. And I was telling Emily, I was heating up my bone broth for the interview, forgot about it, and it was boiling, and it's way too hot for me, but it sounds like it would be perfect for you.
Yeah, my perfect temperature, you're gonna need another hour.
Yeah. And I could, oh my gosh, when we have sports games in the morning for my son or something, and I need to take my coffee to go, I will put it in a regular cup first to let it cool down, and then I'll put it in my Stanley or, insulated mug or whatever, because we'll go the whole game and I won't be able to take a sip because it's too hot.
That's so
funny. In a pinch, I'll put some ice cubes in it, but I don't like to do that.
No, because then it gets watery.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's too funny. I love hearing about everybody's preferences. Mugs and beverages are so specific, and I just find it really fascinating.
Yes, I love it. I love unique mugs. What I have found in a couple of my interviews is, especially people that take their kids to school in the morning and they bring their coffee with them, there's this whole group of people, I don't know if you're one of these people, that won't put a lid. They'll bring their regular cup. I call it open carry. And
I like that.
They open carry in the car with their mug, just a regular mug. It makes my anxiety skyrockets just looking at a picture of them doing that. I've become an open carrier. I love that name. My husband's a gun person, so he's going to get a kick out of that. I can't wait to use that. I've become an open carrier because it used to stress me out, and I'm I don't need any more anxiety in my life. I'm careening around with this mug, but now I've gotten to where I'm picky about certain lids. I don't like the way that it comes out with the travel lids, and so I will put the lid on to keep it hot, but then when I'm at a drinkable point, the lid comes off and we take the risk. And sometimes I will put just the regular mug like you have right now. Sometimes I'll just get in the car with that because it's I don't want to transfer it into anything. It's kind of at its perfect drinkableness, so I'll get in the car with it like that. But I've also learned my lesson a couple times, pouring coffee all over my car or having a kid bump into it. So this is a good halfway for me because it's got it's a regular mug size. I should have an affiliate link for these because I talk about it all the time, but it's got a lid but I don't have to put my mouth on the actual lid to drink out of it because it's open.
Oh.
And then I can just take it off easily to like drink it. So this has kind of been my perfect
lid.
Yeah, Stanley mug and then the lid.
That.
So this has become
That's a good
favorite.
one.
Yeah.
I know. I also travel mugs and stuff. I don't like the lid on how it feels on my mouth.
Yeah. I get it.
Jokes. Yeah. But that one's nice because you still use the cup. You're not using the lid.
Yeah, it's like the rim of the actual mug.
The rim. Yeah. Gosh. My brain got stuck with how many jokes are going to come out of talking about where my lips go.
And open carrying. We're off to a great start. It's too funny.
Just my kind of conversation.
Mine too. I'm here for it.
Yes. Okay. So, homeopathy. Most people may know a little bit of it. They may have never heard the word spoken out loud before, so they read it totally different. So give us like a crash course of what it is. What is homeopathy? Yeah,
and stop me like anytime because I can get into the weeds. I'm going to try to do like a broad view, but please stop me if you have questions. Feel free to interrupt. But a lot of people think it means home remedies. I thought the same thing, but it's actually its own system of natural medicine. So you have kind of this holistic umbrella of like herbs and oils and garlic and honey and elderberry syrup and colloidal silver, and all of that's kind of in the natural umbrella, but none of those things are homeopathy. Homeopathy is its own subset of natural medicine, and it's actually like its own science. It is medicine. And so a lot of people can use the term homeopathic or homeopathy to mean holistic, but it is the science that we're talking about that I'm going to talk to you guys about today. And it just makes so much sense to me. It's so logical. When I found out what it was, it just like blew my mind because it was like everything I'd been looking for. I wanted to do things naturally, but I didn't really know where to start. I didn't really have a plan. And I didn't really know what anything was or where to get it. And then homeopathy was just like, it was like a light that came on. And I was just so excited when you asked me to be part of the show because I love the name, the Young Granny Podcast. Like, that's so fun. And I feel like truly homeopathy led me down this path that I never saw myself on, but it's just this entire way of living, like this return to a simpler time, this return to like the traditions that our grandmothers or great grandmothers would have done, whether that be traditional medicine or traditional like schooling in the home or like ways of eating. I mean, when I found out about homeopathy, it like led me to that whole other world that I didn't even know about. So I just like could not be happier to be here talking to you and your listeners about this.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually really love the distinction that you made because homeopathy, a lot of people that aren't super familiar with it do feel like it's just another name for holistic care, and it is its own thing. It is different than essential oils. It is different than herbalism. The common tie is that it's all natural and coming from plants and that. So homeopathy, I think a lot of people, one of the ways that I was introduced to it was when I had my son. And we got the little camellia. The names.
Yeah, the names are a struggle.
The names are a struggle. I only ever read them, and when I go to say them, I'm like, I'm just going to send you the link because I have no idea how to say it.
Say it confidently. Nobody will know the difference. Like,
exactly.
Just go with confidence.
Except for you.
No,
or they're going to go look it up and be like, what the heck was she saying? So camellia, right?
I say camellia. Yeah, the drops.
Oh, yeah, camellia. That makes sense.
Yeah, but it's confusing because there's camellia and then there's chamomilla, which is an ingredient in the camellia liquid. But yeah, it's confusing.
Okay, so it's those little vials that you give your baby when they're teething or they're just kind of upset, maybe a little colicky, especially when they're teething. And it's those little vials of the clear liquid
that everybody gives their kids. That's one of the ways that I was introduced to homeopathy, and I was like, I was shocked at how efficient it was on my infant's body. I was like, what is this magic? So I deep dove. Still have no idea what I'm actually saying when I talk about it, but I can understand it. I can go to my cabinet and grab what I need. But I think people may be using that without even knowing that they're doing homeopathy, because it's available at their local drugstores and Safeway and if you're in Texas, HEB and all the, it's very readily available, and that surprises people. I think that
once you know what to look for, it's shocking to see. I mean, I've done videos where it's like, oh, Dollar General, here's what's on the shelf for homeopathy, and it's great that it's so accessible, and it's used all over the world. It's actually the second largest form of medicine used worldwide, the first being Chinese medicine. So it's available readily in just about any country.
Which is cool. I didn't know that. So if you're traveling,
you'll be able unless you're traveling to a communist country. But sure. Cuba has it, but the communist countries usually do not. But you're probably not traveling there.
Yeah, probably not. Okay. So that's how I got introduced. How did you get introduced to homeopathy?
So this is kind of a long story, but it has a point. And I have like all these, what I call my never again moments in like motherhood and just in, I don't know, this natural journey that I've been on for like the last 9 years or so. My oldest is 9 and I have 5 kids. And I just have all these kind of defining moments where I really feel like I made certain pivots, and what I believe is just the Holy Spirit telling me, this is not right and you need to make a change. And so I was not into anything naturally minded before I became a mom, had taken a naturally leaning childbirth class. And that was really that was the first time I'd ever thought about what I put into my body, or considering what I might want to put into my children's bodies one day. And then I remember them saying, just give your kid Tylenol when they get sick. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And I didn't know why it wouldn't be fine. Like, I just didn't even know why they were saying that. And it was like a little seed was planted in the back of my mind. Like, okay, what's wrong with Tylenol? Which is actually hilarious that I'm telling this story with what's in the news about Tylenol right now.
Yeah.
But I had no plan for my kid getting sick. And my oldest, I was planning on breastfeeding, and I did. And it was a struggle for us at first, but I was asking for some homeopathic remedies for increasing my milk supply. And it didn't really work out because I was working, I was pumping. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, in hindsight, the homeopathy was not going to help me because I was doing so many things wrong. I was like not eating enough. I mean, all these things that go into milk supply, but that's how I got in contact with my best friend's aunt who was trying to help me out with these homeopathic drops. And at that time, I still thought it meant like herbs or home remedies. And then my oldest got sick for the first time. So when she was 7 months old, my husband was the one to take her to the appointment. I was teaching. He was a police officer, and so his schedule kind of allowed for him to take her to these well visits. And this is actually the only sick visit we've ever had, because since this moment we've used homeopathy to just like handle things. So I'll probably touch on that more in a minute. But anyways, she had a double ear infection and bronchitis, and I was like panicked. I left work. All my coworkers were like, it's fine, go. Like, they knew I was a stressed out first time mom, and my kid was sick for the first time. And I just remember feeling like I'm driving home and I'm on my way to help my kid, but I don't even know how to help her. I don't even know why I'm going home to her or what I'm doing, because other than of course comforting her, but I feel like helpless. And that feeling of like being panicked and confused and lost, I knew I never wanted to feel like that again. And like I said, I had no plan for what to give her. I didn't want to do the antibiotics. I didn't even know why I didn't want to. I just knew like,
Yeah.
I want to do this naturally, but I had no plan. And I thought like, oh, I've heard of garlic drops, but I don't even know where to get that. I didn't know what kind of homeopathy I would even need to give her. And so we did do the prescription from the doctor, and she got better and it was fine. But we've never given antibiotics again. There have been situations where I may have given Tylenol if I'd had it, but we just haven't kept any in the house because I'm like, I am going to use these things as a last resort instead of jumping to them first. And so after that experience, I was like, next time someone in my family gets sick, I'm going to know what to do. And so I bought a homeopathy kit, which is hilarious because I still knew nothing. I just was like, I'm diving all the way in and I'm going to learn this. And like, as they say, the rest is history. It just made so much sense to me. I started listening to podcasts and reading blogs. And then I started teaching study groups and, you know, I'm having more kids. I'm using this. Then I start kind of helping my friends with it. And then having more kids. And when I was pregnant with number 5, I went back to school to become a homeopath. And it's still just it's a side venture. I'm homeschooling my kids, and my main priority is my family. And we're very involved in like church ministry and stuff like that. But that business is there, and I can build it slowly. And it's my passion. It's my passion project. So I'll be a student of it and a homeopath always. And I have that kind of to bolster all these things that I was using, but didn't know like maybe some in-depth history behind it. And just, yeah, I learned so much just by going back to school and diving in that way. I'm sorry. I know I'm kind of off on a tangent now, but
no, you're not.
Just, I say all that because it brought into place so many like pieces that I felt like I was missing. And then it was like to the point where I felt like the Lord was calling me to actually build a career around it eventually. Like I said, it's still part-time right now, but also I share because I want that feeling for every mom where they feel equipped and empowered to handle illnesses that come up with their kids. And you don't have to be a homeopath to do this. Like I did it for 7 or 8 years of motherhood without going back to school or any of that, just from listening to podcasts like this and hearing other people's stories of what they did and how they used it and what it was, and just like gobbling up any free information I could. And like the confidence and peace that it's given me as a mom, I want that for everybody. Every mom should know about it. It's incredible. Like you were saying with the camellia drops, sometimes it can seem miraculous or like magical because you're like, how could this have worked so quickly? And the fact that I'm getting to the root of what's happening and not just making them feel better. Of course, we want them to feel better, but I think deep down, we all want our kids to have this really solid foundation in their health and to really be getting to the bottom of what's wrong and not just covering it up. So anyways, I know that was completely like tangent from what you originally asked, but that's my story. I told you it was going to be long.
No, I love it. It's so interesting to me to find out, how did somebody get interested in something? How did they learn about it? And then what did they do with it? I love it. Okay, so what is the science of homeopathy? How does it differ than herbalism?
So one of the key differences is that homeopathy is highly diluted. When you're taking an herbal tincture, you're taking it in a really concentrated form, and homeopathy is extremely diluted, hundreds and even thousands of times. And so because of that, it's extremely gentle. And there are rules around it, just like there are with herbs or oils or anything else. But herbs and oils are, like I said, they're extremely concentrated, whereas homeopathy has been diluted hundreds and thousands of times. And all that is done in pharmacies. All of it is done by machines so that it's all really regulated. And I think we think of like a mom making something in a mason jar on her kitchen counter, and nothing's wrong with that. But homeopathy, as most people know it and use it, is these pharmaceutical blends. It's regulated by the FDA. It's not evaluated by them. They're not claiming that it does certain things, but it is regulated by them, and it goes through really strict quality and purity checks, even probably stricter than what the pharmaceuticals do, because homeopathy is being scrutinized. So the quality is just incredible, and it can be made from plants. It can be made from animals, like insects, like the crushed up honeybee. Apis is literally honeybee. It can be made from elements on the periodic table, and it can also be made from substances that are toxic. So that's another key difference in herbs and oils, because those are made from plants or plant parts that are healing. They have all these benefits, but homeopathy can be made from plants that are toxic. It can be made from snake venom, things that in their original form would cause harm or even death. But once they've been diluted and potentized, which is this like succussion, it's this like banging process that happens in the pharmacies where they have these machines that shake and collide the molecules together. And once it goes through that process, what's left is none of the toxic material and only its curing ability, which I think is really beautiful, that we can harness these substances that are toxic in their original form, but turn them into some of our most powerful medicines, like Belladonna is one of them.
That's what I was thinking. So talk about Belladonna, because I know, my son's 5.5, and when I started giving him the teething drops, and I think some of the like relaxing, like chill out. I know you're having a hard time because you're 5 months old, but like let's chill out. When I started giving him some of that stuff, I was reading about it, and there had recently been all this controversy about don't use these, they contain belladonna, which they had since taken out. But I was like, what is this? And so belladonna is a controversial one. Personally, I don't think it should be.
It's from a lack of understanding. Yeah. People just don't realize, and so they Google it, they see deadly nightshade, and they're like, oh,
right,
you got to take this off the market.
Yeah. Why are you giving that to your infant? Like, no.
Yeah.
So belladonna is one of these that there is curing, healing abilities in it, helpful things when the molecules are separated and diluted. So what is belladonna? Why were people concerned about it?
Yeah, so belladonna is deadly nightshade in its herbal form, and belladonna is the name of the plant itself. So homeopathic remedies or medicines are always going to be in Latin. So if you're ever in the store and you're questioning, like, is this homeopathic or not? Because nowadays companies are getting smart. They know that parents want natural medicine, and so they're changing packaging to look like it could be a natural product. But if the ingredients are in Latin, then what you're looking at are homeopathic ingredients. So, and they've been named that way since the 1700s, when this was all invented, or discovered, I should say. So belladonna is the Latin name for deadly nightshade, and homeopathy is based on the principle that like cures like. So what might happen if you ingested a deadly nightshade plant or berries is, possibly a really high fever, glassy eyes, hallucinations, red skin. And so in its homeopathic form, it can help with sicknesses that are similar to those deadly nightshade symptoms. So it doesn't mean that you would eat berries and that's why you need to take belladonna. But if you're teething, or if you have an ear infection or a mastitis, and those symptoms of your condition are red hot, really high fever, fever hallucinations, any of those things, then you might want to consider using belladonna, because it's a similar symptom to what the deadly nightshade symptoms are. And you don't have to know what plant or substance the homeopathic medicines come from. You don't have to know that to use it. It's just really interesting, and it's helpful, like when you're learning about it, to have some kind of examples. But that's the principle that it's based on.
I love that. I haven't heard it explained that way, and I feel like when you explain it that way, it gives you something to ground it to, right? When I'm looking at the little vials that I have, and it just tells me like relieves, cramping, menstrual cramps, like okay. But
and they can be used for, sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was going to say, like, then I go online and I see that it can also be used for wildly different things. And I'm like, what? Like,
Yeah.
How can that be menstrual cramps and then also, something completely unrelated? That's why.
Yeah. So that's another like confusing thing, because people do go to the store and they're like, well, it says menstrual cramps and you're telling me to use this for an ear infection? What are you talking about? But because they've been used for so long, they have so much data on these really popular remedies. There are more obscure remedies that I only know of like one or two uses for, but something like belladonna or chamomilla or arnica or aconite, I mean, those are such powerhouses. We call them polycrests in homeopathy because they've been around a long time and they work so well for so many conditions for so many people. And so it can be confusing because we're reading one thing and you're like, what? Why am I buying this menstrual cramp remedy? And I'll say, no, it works on other things too.
Yeah. Okay, so talk about the history. So, we've spoken that today they're manufactured with machines and all that. But like these have been around for hundreds of years. How was this discovered? Tell me what you know about the history.
Well, you don't want to know everything I know because I could talk for hours, weeks. But
I do. Maybe we'll.
Yeah, I'll dial it back.
Episode. Yeah.
But I mean, I love this stuff because so first we got to go back to what medicine was like in the 1700s. So think about bloodletting, purging. There was this theory about the four humors, and maybe if you were sick, then that meant that you needed to get this certain fluid, one of the four humors, you needed to get it out. It's like blood, bile, and like two other ones that I can't remember right now. But that is what allopathic or conventional medicine is based on, or those theories. That's what, that was a historically allopathic belief. And so Samuel Hahnemann was the founder of homeopathy. He's known as the father of homeopathy. Fun fact, he's the only physician to have a statue in his honor in Washington, D.C. But he was a German doctor. He was a medical doctor and a chemist. He spoke 7 languages. And like, it's also helpful to think about just what was going on in the 1790s. The American Revolution had just happened. Mozart and Bach and Beethoven were all composing music. The French Revolution is underway. Like, there's just all these really big ideas going on, a lot of revolutionary ideas. And because he was a doctor, he was present at a lot of bloodlettings, and he was literally seeing patients be killed. And he was like, this is barbaric. And of course, today we all go, yeah, this is barbaric. But back then this was common, and this was the medicine of the age. And he just thought there must be a gentler way to get people to a healed state. And he was translating medical texts because he was just done with medicine. He's like, I'm taking a break from being a doctor. So he started translating these texts because he spoke so many languages. And that's when he got the idea of trying one substance to see if it could cure a similar symptom. And the first remedy that he did that with was cinchona bark, which is sometimes also pronounced quina. But if you ever see it in the store, it's cinchona. And it's for like weakness after the flu and collapse and fevers, and just a really great remedy for bouncing back after an illness. And it's made from Peruvian bark. And so he started experimenting with this. And because he was also a chemist, he did all of his experiments in a very precise way. He tested them on healthy people. The people who were testing these didn't know what they were taking, and they didn't know what it was supposed to do. And the people observing didn't know what the person had taken or what it was supposed to do. They're all just observing this and doing it in a really scientific way. And then he started to experiment with other substances, a lot of them being substances that were medicines at the time, but also like herbal substances and things that were from plants and animals. And he would take a little bit of, a drop of a tincture, a mother tincture, like let's just keep on using the deadly nightshade, the belladonna for an example. He would take a drop of mother tincture and dilute it, and then take 1 drop of that diluted substance and then dilute it again by a certain ratio. And so if you see like 10x that means that it's been diluted by a power of 10. And if you see, sorry, 10's a bad example. If you see 30x, that means that it's been diluted by the 10th power 30 times. But if you see 30c, it means that it's been diluted 30 times to the 100th power. And so all this was done by hand. He's doing this with all the different vials, and I suppose you could do that, but the pharmacies do it so well that I have no reason to try. And I don't want to play pharmacist. I'm just interested in what they do for my family, and that being really easy and simple. But yeah, he discovered that through this dilution process, he was able to, because he was helping the sick person in the gross form of the substance, but he discovered that by diluting it, he was able to help the sick person without any side effects. So that was really key. And he was also the first to propose the theory of chronic diseases, that something could follow a person throughout their life and just kind of pop up and manifest itself in different ways. He was also one of the first people to propose that hygiene played a huge role in epidemics and controlling disease. And he just did a ton of philanthropic work. He believed that the public should have this information, and he was ridiculed for his beliefs. He died with, I think, 4 or 5 people at his funeral. He never was a wealthy or famous man, but his ideas were huge. And I just think it's very cool that the discoveries of one person kind of sparked this movement, and we're seeing a resurgence of it now with all the moms who are young grannies, and they're interested in, okay, how can I return to traditional medicine? Like I said in the beginning, how can I help my family heal naturally and gently and safely? And we're, in a lot of ways, we're not so different than the doctors who were purging and bloodletting. Like we know a lot about the body, but we're still not very good at helping people gently and knowing what to do to support somebody without harmful side effects and drugs that are toxic and even deadly. And so in a way, it's like, well, medicine hasn't really advanced that much. And in some ways it has. I mean, obviously there are life-saving measures. Obviously there are times when we would go to the doctor if we felt that something was beyond our control, or, someone breaks an arm, we're going. But there are just so many things that can be handled in the home without a fuss. Like you give the remedies and it's over. It could have been a catastrophe if we'd gone to a doctor, but instead we can just handle it gently at home.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a lot of thoughts. So one of the thoughts that I have is, there's a lot of people, a lot of moms who are trying to walk this fine line, because on one hand, we hear of, superbugs, and these bugs are coming about because antibiotics are too widely used. And so let's just call them germs. Bacteria will mutate, viruses will mutate, not cured by antibiotics, I know, but everything's mutating faster than what we can produce remedies for. And so you're hearing this. So you're like, oh, well, I don't want to contribute to that. But I also, don't want to go forage for things on my own, because I don't have the time, I don't have the energy, I don't want to, So what's this middle ground? And I think things like homeopathy, as it stands today, because there's so much information at our fingertips, herbal remedies, and there's a lot of middle ground that is available to us today, and I think it's bringing a lot of people to this information now.
Yeah,
like us.
I agree. I really think that it's like homeopathy is, if you can get past the weirdness, and if you can get past the fact that you Googled Belladonna, if you can really dig into it, you'll find that it is the meeting point between conventional diagnoses and natural remedies. I mean, it just meets in the middle so well. And I think what would be cool one day, I know that the Maha movement is big right now, and I hope that maybe that will be a support for homeopathy. But one day I would ultimately hope that doctors are okay prescribing Tylenol, and here's the option to use arnica side by side, or whatever the case may be.
I would love to see us get to a place where we offer both options, and other countries are doing that now. In India, homeopaths are right up there with traditional medically trained doctors. I mean, homeopaths are MDs in India. Their government recognizes it as a form of medicine, and so you can walk into a pharmacy and find the homeopathic that you need and find the conventional drug that you need. And
Cool.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point, because we don't, there's a time and a place for allopathic medicine. There's a time and a place for Tylenol, if you choose to give it, but you don't have to. And especially if you can combine the two and have an understanding of when to give both of them, like, that'll really arm you with how to care for your family or yourself, or somebody else
and
that
just
you're caring for.
being armed with options as a mom. I, in that moment, in that story that I just told, is I felt like I had no other option besides the antibiotic and the whatever they gave her for bronchitis. It was probably like Robitussin. It was probably just cough syrup. But just having options, because the allopathic drug will always be there. You can always use it if the condition has progressed to a place where you're not comfortable using homeopathy anymore. I have actually never had that happen. I think that we kind of have been able to head things off before they become terrible, by using homeopathy and using it consistently. But yeah.
I the other thing that I have found is, like, my son, there's been very few times. There was one time where we had to have antibiotics for a UTI. That was an awful UTI. So we used antibiotics for that. And he, oh my gosh, to get him to take that liquid, it was torture. It was torture. But homeopathy, especially the little ball ones, never been an issue. He thinks they're candy, especially when he was little. He was like, I want my ball candy. He was like,
That's so cute.
It's never been an issue because they're slightly sweet. And, he likes rolling it around in his mouth.
Uh-oh. I think I lost you.
I'm
sorry. I think I lost you for a minute.
Okay.
You there?
Yeah, that might have been my internet. That's weird.
Sorry.
Okay. I'm going to take that as a sign. I need to blow my nose. I will be right back.
Nose blowing break.
Yes. Is that our internet thing? Is your internet stop? You need to blow your nose? Oh, I'm not done recording yet, okay? All right. Okay. That was, I think, looks like it's my internet. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Everything's fine now. There's just a little glitch, I think.
Yeah, I have a little thing that says trying to reconnect. Make sure you have stable internet connection. I'm like, well, looks like it's still recording though.
I love when it says that, and I'm like, what should I do to make sure that my internet connection is more stable?
Yeah. Weird. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it was right when you were talking about the sugar balls, or what did he call them?
Oh, yeah. The ball candy, I think.
The ball candy, yeah. It was somewhere around then, and it kind of went out.
We had a little internet issue, but we're back. So but it's never been an issue for him to take those. So that's also something to keep in mind. I know a lot of my friends, like, I remember me as a kid, I hated taking medicine when I needed to take it. And these can be fun little, doesn't feel like medicine. I've never called it medicine. So that's something to keep in your arsenal as well. Like,
yeah, definitely a pro.
Taking one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's a cool, like, historical fact behind that too, because
again, if you can look past a lot of the weird rumors around homeopathy, one of them being, well, it's just sugar pills. Like, people who believe that this works are crazy because it's just sugar pills. But the medicine is on the outside of the sugar. And the reason that it's made on these sugar tablets is because if you think, again, back to the 1790s when this is being done, refrigeration was not a thing. It was hard for them to find shelf-stable substances. And what they found was that baker's sugar was almost completely shelf-stable. Like, chemically, sugar does not change. And you can use a remedy from like the 1920s and it should still work if it's been well taken care of. They last forever. Sugar really does not expire. So that's why they're made on sugar pills, because it's really, really stable chemically.
That's super interesting. So that's why we're not supposed to touch them, right, before we put them in our mouths.
Well, it is okay to touch them. I do when I give them to my kids, like especially a baby. You know, I don't know of an easy way. I guess I could pour it in their mouth, but like for a newborn, you know, you do have to kind of touch it to put it in there. But it's not going to harm you if you touch the pellet. The reason that you wouldn't want to touch it is just in case it gets rubbed off. The medicine on the outside gets rubbed off, or just in case you had maybe just touched an essential oil or a cleaning product or something was on your hands that changed the remedy in some way. And so one of the rules is you don't touch it and put it back in the bottle. I touch it to give it to my kids sometimes, but you wouldn't want to put it in your hand and then in the bottle, because now you've potentially antidoted the contents of what was in the bottle.
Yeah, that makes sense. I saw a reel a while back of the little blue vial tube that you get with the blue things. If you keep the lid, the cap on, and you just twist the vial, they'll just drop right into the cap. And then I just throw those. Well, I don't throw them. I just tip it into my son's mouth from there.
Those boron tubes are really handy. Not every brand does that, but that like screw cap, they've hit the jackpot. That's $1 million idea.
Yeah. Okay, so brands. So I know of two main ones, and I know that one of the differences, if there's many more, is boron has a little bit of lacto something in it. So if you're lactose intolerant, that one might not be the best choice for you. There's another brand that starts with an O.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Oleos is a lactose-free brand. I don't know a ton about Oleos. Just as a pharmacy, I know a lot more about boron. And I think that people really worry about the dairy-free stuff, but the pellet is tiny. It's a lactose-sucrose mixture. It's called milk sugar, which is baker's sugar. But it's such a tiny amount that even a lactose-sensitive person should not have a problem with it. If you want to just have an abundance of caution, you could use the Oleos brand, but they're available in liquids also. And I have never had anyone report to me that they had a dairy reaction from taking the boron pellets.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I think we're like hyper aware of that almost these days.
Yeah. With all the, I don't eat this, and I can't have this, and I don't tolerate this, and so you're just like, not at all. If it's in anything, I'm not going to have it.
Yeah, and it's understandable. I mean, I can understand why people are concerned, but yeah, with homeopathy, it's not as big of a concern as people might think.
Mm-hmm. So what are some, if somebody was interested in having a small stock of things to have around, what are your like go-tos?
Oh man.
I know there's so many.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, if you can invest in a homeopathy kit, do it, because it will serve you. And there's just nothing worse than needing a remedy and then you can't get it. And you're scrambling to run around to a store or order on Amazon or whatever the case may be. So if you can make the investment to do a kit, I just highly recommend it. And because they last for so long, the kit that I bought when my daughter was 7 months old, that was 8 years ago. I still have that kit. And some of the remedies are like more than half full. Some of them I've had to replace the vials, but that kit has lasted a really long time. It's a good investment. But anyways, if I was just telling people like 3 remedies to get, I would probably start with arnica, nux vomica, and ignatia. So something for injuries and bleeding and bruises. If you have a little boy or a toddler in your life, that's a must. Nux vomica, something for the gut, upset stomach, diarrhea, nausea, any kind of like gut disturbance, constipation. And then ignatia, which is something for emotions, anxiety, grief, crying too often. And it's medicine, so we only want to use these when it's needed. We wouldn't use this daily, like, my kid always gets hurt, so I'm just going to give him arnica daily. We don't want to do that. We only want to use it when the situation calls for it, because they aren't supplements. They're medicines, and that means that we should only use them when we're sick. But then if I had to go like another step, I'm thinking about what's in my diaper bag right now, because the 10 or 12 remedies that are in my diaper bag we're reaching for them all the time. So it's those 3 that I just named. We've also got arsenicum album in there, which is another stomach one. Stomach bugs, food poisoning, any kind of diarrhea that's like burning. It could be vomiting that burns also. Chamomilla is in there, which is a great teething remedy. It's a great toddler remedy. That's the nothing can comfort me right now. I want my passy, but now I'm going to throw it down. I want my lovey, but I'm throwing it at mom. I want to be held, but now I want to get down. I mean, it's like the toddler 101. I have a kid named Cameron, and we used to joke that her nickname was Chamomilla. She was such a hard toddler. And we did give her that remedy a lot. Belladonna, which we've already talked about, is in my diaper bag. Aconite is another one that is toxic in its herbal form, but it's amazing in its homeopathic form for shock, for fear, anything that's frightening or, gives you like a mental disturbance. For instance, if you drove past a car accident and witnessed something really tragic, or you were in the car accident yourself, you could take that. But it's also great for the onset of an illness. So you don't have to have something scary happening. You could just take it because you're suddenly feeling like you're going to get really sick. That's a great time to take aconite.
That kind of like doom, like something's, I'm unsettled,
yes.
Something's not right.
Yeah, you just know I'm going downhill. This is bad.
Yeah.
Aconite can head off the sickness, or it could just, make it a little bit easier to handle. Thinking what else is in my diaper bag right now. I have cocculus with me all the time because one of my sons is really prone to motion sickness and used to throw up on every single trip we took. So that was a fun way to spend the vacation, cleaning vomit out of the car. So now we just give him cocculus and it's all fine. No more throwing up.
Do you, for that one in particular, do you wait until he's starting to feel the sickness, or do you give it to him prophylactically, like before?
That's a great question. You could give that one if like this happens every car trip. I do wait until he says something because he's old enough to tell me. But if he was, 2 or 3 and he couldn't really vocalize that because he'll still say his stomach hurts. And I'm thinking, does it really hurt, or do you feel like you're going to throw up? Because I think it's throw up. But if it was like a younger child, you definitely could give it prophylactically. And if we're on a mountain trip, I know that he's going to need it. And so I don't wait in that instance. But most of the time he'll tell me. So I just wait.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's, it's all about knowing your children too. Like if you are giving it every car trip because you've got a constant throw up kid, if you've done that a while and it's helped, maybe try to go a car trip without it and see if they still need it. Because the other cool thing about homeopathy is it's uprooting what's wrong. So eventually, if this is an ongoing issue, your symptoms should get less severe, it should happen less often, and the body is kind of working this out. And even if it does happen, it's not as bad. Well, I guess I just said that because I said less severe. But if you are giving it to a kid consistently, every car trip, try going without it and see if they can make it a few hours and be okay. And just for your own knowledge to be like, oh yeah, this really is helping long term too, not just in the moment.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of some other great ones for for just starting off. Ledum is another one that I'm never without. Ledum is great for black eyes, insect bites, bee stings, puncture wounds, tick bites. Just a great one to have on hand if you're like an outdoorsy person. But yeah, I mean, those cover a lot of things. They have such wide abilities that you could own just like 10 and do so much good with those.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Boron sells like a little travel case. I think you can bring like 16 with you. I bring it with me everywhere. Not everywhere, but on all my trips. Like sunburns, my mom's hot flashes.
Yeah.
I think some of my, if you're looking for like quick things, one of my most favorite things, and we're using it right now, my son and I, we were traveling over the weekend to a wedding, and he was eating his snacks, and he just kept putting his fingers in his hand on the airplane. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to get sick. We did. It's really only been like runny nose, kind of a little bit of congestion. So we got lucky. I know we got lucky. But Highlands makes a baby version and a kid version of liquid day and nighttime version, homeopathic liquid that is pretty mild in taste. It is magic.
Yeah, we like that one a lot.
Magic. I love it. And I've gotten all my friends, even the friends that are like, you know, I want nothing to do with natural stuff, you know.
But it looks like a cough syrup. So like even somebody who wants to go a traditional route, people are comfortable with that.
Yep. So they try it and they're like, you know, this is like NyQuil, but without like, you know, the sleeping stuff and
without drugging them.
Yeah, without drugging them. It is magic. And so it doesn't completely take it away, but it like most kids, my son, oh my gosh, when he has any sort of nasal congestion, sleep is just horrible. And this makes it so that we can sleep.
Yes, one of my girls is taking the syrup right now because she's got a cough, and then the baby is taking the tiny cold tablets, which I would even take them if we don't have any other things in the house. Yeah. Like the other cool thing about homeopathy is it's so gentle that you don't. I've said the other cool thing like 10 times. But there's just so many cool things. Because it's so gentle, there's no reason to use different remedies for babies than you do for adults. So I could take the baby tablets and they could work really well for me. She could take, the adult version, like the cold calm that Boron makes, and be fine because the ingredients are safe for everybody. And that's probably one of the most commonly asked questions that I get is, well, is this safe for blank, a 9-month-old, even my 2-month-old, even my 2-week-old, even my, autistic son, it's for everybody across the board. Homeopathy is so safe and gentle. It's incredible.
Yeah. So that is something I wanted to touch on because I think for marketing purposes and for people to be comfortable using it, companies like Highlands and stuff have made, a baby version and a kid's version, adults versions, just because that's what we're used to.
It is all about marketing. And if you see recommended for 6 months and up, now some of them have honey in them, so they might say 1 year and up because of the honey thing. But to be quite honest, I'd rather my kid have a little honey than some ingredients that are in other syrups. Sure. Yeah. But sometimes they will say an age on there because for recommended 6 months and up, because it's a lot harder to make a claim that a product is safe for 0 to 6 months than it is for that 6 months and up or whatever. Some of them say 2+, some of them say other things, but they are safe for everybody. It's just what they have to do for their requirements and how the packaging is and just all the hoops they have to jump through for something to be branded as a baby product. But I have given those tiny cold tablets to my kids as young as 1 or 2 weeks old. Because when you have a bunch of kids, the newborn gets sick too. It's really fun.
Yeah. So one thing that I get confused about is, especially on the with the balls, the little vials, is the dosage and the concentration, I guess, is what it actually is, and when to give them.
Yeah.
Can you touch on that?
Yeah, those are big questions, but I'm glad you asked it because that's what everybody struggles with. So with how many to give, well, I'll start this way. A rule that really helped me when I first started with homeopathy was the rule of 4s. And you don't have to do this. It's not like a legalistic, something's going to go wrong if you don't, but it helped me to have a guideline and a benchmark because I was totally confused as well about how many pellets, when do I give it, all these questions. And the rule of 4s is this kind of reminder that you can do 4 pellets every 4 hours and then repeat that 4 times. And in those 4 doses, that's about the span of 1 day. And so you should be able to see improvement. And then if there's any improvement at all, you're on the right track. You keep going. Now, of course, there's emergencies where we would not wait 4 hours to give the medicine. This is just maybe for a cold or a UTI. This is a non-emergent situation. And then the 4 pellets is just so that you can not have to guess and do this guessing game. But the pharmacies have instructions on their tubes for how many to give. So Boron, I think, says 5. Other brands say 2. The Highlands, like the cell salt Highlands ones, they're like bigger. They used to say 4, but then they changed them and now it's just 1. What that is they can guarantee you've had a dose of arnica if you've taken what's on this bottle. However, homeopathy works by sending a message to the body. It's a stimulant. And so it's just stimulating the body's ability to heal itself. And so as long as your body has received that message, it doesn't really matter if you've taken 1 pellet or 4 or 10, or your toddler has accidentally taken the whole bottle. That's still all just 1 dose. It's like flipping on a light switch. You've just flipped the switch 1 time. But if that totally confuses you, just go by the 4 pellets rule or go by what the pharmacy has put on the vial. And so, to save money, I might just give 1 to my kids. I have 5 kids. Like, we're trying to make that bottle last, but they're not very expensive. So it's nothing like paying for these expensive prescriptions or anything like that. But if I give just 1, it's just because I want to save money, not because more would harm them. So less pellets does not mean that you're giving them less medicine, because the pellets are just sending 1 message to the body, just a gentle nudge in the direction of healing. And as far as what strength to use, I think that was your other question. Like, should I do 30? Should I do 200? I love 200s and 30s, and those are both really mild. People like to say that 200 is a high potency, but because homeopathy is so gentle, these really are still very moderate. But I use what's called the Banerjee protocols, which I won't deep dive it today, but it's a group of doctors in India who have over 150 years of data. And so they've figured out certain patterns in terms of what remedy, what potency, meaning the letter number combo, and then how often to give it. And they have what's basically a prescription or a recipe for, anything that you can think of: ear infection, psoriasis, flu. I mean, I'm trying to think of like other protocols, just literally any human health condition you can think of. They probably have a protocol for it. And they give you the name of the medicine, the potency. So, is it 30C? Is it 3C? Is it 200C? And how often to take it. And, those protocols are just a game changer because it takes all the guesswork out of it for a beginner. Yeah. And a lot of people are used to hearing some of those kind of prescriptions from me because I share a lot about the Banerjee protocols online. So if I tell you Ignatia 200 twice a day for insomnia, and that's a Banerjee protocol, then you don't have to guess like, well, how do I know how often to take it? Or, should I do 30? And it's taken the guesswork out of it. So that is a huge comfort to have that. But when in doubt, like if you don't have a protocol and you're just at the store and you've picked up something and you're just hoping it'll help and you don't have the Banerjee protocols to go on, then you can use that rule of 4s, just every 4 hours
keep going if there's improvement. If something worsens, then you would stop and go with a different remedy. But also just using common sense. Homeopathy is so logical. So if you have a cold, you likely are going to see just some low grade symptoms for about a week. Just, don't freak if if things are not like vastly improved, but there usually would be something like their mood is better, their energy is better, their sleep, like you're saying, they still sound terrible during the day, but their sleep is way better. And so now you're on the right track.
Yeah. Yeah. One of my most favorite, well, the Highlands mucus stuff, it surprises me every time. I don't know why. It just surprises me every time. And I think
they still surprise me too. And I'm like, why am I shocked that this works? This is my career, but I'm still like, wowed.
So cool.
Yes, it does.
But recently my son, a couple months back, he wasn't eating his normal diet, and he had a little bout of constipation, and he's never had a stomach ache, and his stomach was cramping, that like cyclical cramping, and he had never experienced anything like that, so he was crying quite a bit and was like, ow. And I was like, I don't remember which. I think it was Nux Vomica that I went with, but I might have grabbed my other thing. But I started giving that to him, and I would give him one pellet every 15 minutes. And every time I gave it to him, there was a relaxing, and he wasn't as much pain. And then I would notice it would ramp up a little bit, so I'd give him one more. And then we had to go pick up my husband, I think about an hour later. And that last one that I gave him, I just saw his body just totally relax, and he fell asleep. And he fell asleep. Oh,
that's great.
It felt like his body was able to relax enough from the cramping to just like go into a healing state. And then we got home, he woke up and he goes, I have to go potty.
Yay, success.
A while going potty. Yeah, and it was one of the coolest experiences to see how effective it was at what you said earlier, at kind of signaling his body in, oh, right, this is how I fix it. And I need to go into rest so that I can relax and move this through.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that. I love that testimonial. And the body will tell you how often it needs it in some cases. Like a good rule of thumb is, when you're thinking about it again, when it starts to bother you again, you take the medicine again. And I have given it every 15 minutes or even every 5 if the situation was calling for it. If a kid is screaming in pain with an ear infection, I might be giving it every 5 minutes. But those extremes, like every 5 or every 15, that's just for the duration that it's happening. And then when there's improvement, we back off and we let the body work on its own. Just for anyone listening who may not be as familiar with it, you wouldn't do something every 15 minutes for days. Once it's under control, now we can slow it down. But sleep is a great sign. That is, don't panic if your kid goes to sleep. It is a sign that your body is healing and doing what it needs to do, exactly like you said. You said it beautifully.
I kind of equated it to, after like you've cried a lot.
Yeah.
And you're like, I need to take a nap, right?
Yes.
It's like your body has, shifted gears, and you're like, I need a time of rest to restart, to reboot, basically.
Yeah, that's so good.
Yeah.
That's so true. I'm a crier, so I can relate.
Yeah, exactly. Me too. That's why it came to exactly. Let's see. Okay, so if somebody would want to work with you, I know that you do work one-on-one with people, but you've also got some really exciting things that you've recently launched. So talk about if people want to work with you or learn from you, what are your options?
Yeah, so I try to provide as much free information as I can. Like I've said a couple times, I do believe that moms deserve to know about this. And so if you go onto my Instagram, it's at Homeopathy with Emily. I have highlights, I have videos, I have posts, I have a free Facebook group that you can join. Just, trying to get out the information that we've covered today, and then some other like specific conditions. Like I talk about ear infections, teething, UTIs. I talk about this stuff a lot because we deserve to know about it. But if there's a situation where, you're not sure what to do, or maybe you've been to the doctor and you've gotten a prescription, but you want to go the natural route and you're looking for more of a treatment plan, I can do an acute consult. Those are $45. And that's just, obviously an acute would be something that's, it's solvable in a limited amount of time, like a bee sting, UTI, ear infection, pneumonia is even considered an acute, something that has a clear beginning and an end. But then I also work with people on chronic conditions. So working with clients one-on-one, and that's where you really dig deeper. Like, when did all this start? How are you experiencing this? Tell me about your sleep. Tell me about, the emotions associated with the condition. And that's where we really get into looking at the person as a whole. And so I do chronic care consults for those as well. And that would be something like, hypo or hyperthyroidism, pretty much any issue around the menstrual cycle. That's going to be a chronic, but it can be a skin issue. It could be a gut health issue or a food intolerance or a food allergy. So anything that's kind of long-term and ongoing and it just continues to plague you, that's going to be the chronic care. And then as far as education, that's my favorite thing to do. I just love teaching moms about homeopathy. I love doing stuff like this where I just get the word out. And I love really walking with people and just helping them learn this and learn the ins and outs. And so right now what's going on is my event called Happy Births in Homeopathy. I teamed up with my friend Marissa, who is a doula. And so she brings her whole wealth of knowledge about birthing and postpartum care, nutrition, oils. She deep dives into a lot of that. And then I bring the homeopathy side. But because homeopathy is good for all, even though it's like centered around births and postpartum and pregnancy, I still think every mom should take this class because I have a whole section in there about family care. And, you get protocols like constipation and pregnancy. Guess what? You can use that constipation protocol for anybody, for your elderly parents, for your husband, for yourself, even if you're not pregnant. I mean, these protocols really are for everybody. And so that is my passion project right now, is this event that I've put together with her, and we're doing some lives. You get access for a year, and then you get a live Q&A. We just did our first one last night, actually. And so you get another live in November and another in December. But then we're available too for like, hey, this is going on and I tried this, but I'm not sure like what else to do. And we're available for that kind of troubleshooting as well. So
awesome.
Yeah.
That's super exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. You do have a lot of information on your page. So it's very helpful. Highly recommend going to her Instagram. Homeopathy with Emily. I'll make sure to put that in the show notes. You've got a wealth of information on there, and in your stories, you share what you're doing and stuff, which is helpful. It's helpful just to observe every once in a while and then be like, oh, I think Emily said something about that. Let me go check that.
Yeah, even if it doesn't apply to you now, it might apply to you. Yeah. Soon.
Yeah, and I think one time she said something.
Yeah.
That I think
I know, and sometimes I don't save them like I should, and people will message me and they're like, "Did you post something about a tick bite?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did. Let me find it for you." So feel free to message me if there's something that you don't see.
Yeah, awesome. How about fire ants? We have a huge fire ant problem.
Yeah, they're bad here in South Carolina too. I love Leadum for fire ants. Okay. There's this gel too. It's called Sting Stop. It's a homeopathic gel, and it's on Amazon, but it's not like a Prime thing. So it might take you, a week or two to get it. But I like that gel a lot too. It's helped my kids with the itching.
Okay, I'm gonna have to get some because It seems like every yard I visit or like the sports fields and stuff have slightly different fire ants. Because some I react to wildly different. The ones in our yard, I'm becoming really allergic to.
Oh no.
Like at my son's t-ball field, if I get bit by a few, like I'm itchy for it. Sucks. It sucks. And I'm itchy for a little while. But if I get stung, by the ones in our yard, it's a good 2 weeks where my foot is just like a ball. And
there is something to that for sure. Like at our old house, they would get swollen. They would like almost look like pimples. But then the other night we got bitten by some at baseball, and it was itchy like you were saying, but it wasn't anything like those others. I don't know.
Yeah.
Different species, I guess. And you might want to try Apis too. Like if your foot is actually swelling and it's not just the bites itself.
Yeah.
Apis is all about like swelling and allergic reactions. So that might be something to try.
Yeah. I have that on hand next time. I'm going to use that.
Not that I'm hoping you get bit again, but.
Yeah. Well, now I kind of am. I'm just going to go step out in the grass right now.
I know. It is funny because once you start learning this stuff, it's like, okay, something can happen now, so I can practice.
Right? I know.
Let me jump into action. But it's fun.
It is. It is. And I think that's one of the things that I like about it is when you get that remedy right, when you pick the right one, and you, like my son, right? And he fell asleep, and then he went. And I was like, man, like I felt so good about my capability and like my ability to care for him.
Yes. It is a very satisfying way to live. Yeah.
It was, and anytime I need to give him the Highlands stuff, like I'm like, man, I'm doing good. Like he's struggling, but like I got this. I can do this. And
that's how we should feel. We should we should feel equipped and like I wish that this wasn't happening, but I know that I'm helping them in the best possible way. Like that's a really good feeling. And I think that like modern medicine has stolen that from us in some ways. That's probably a whole other podcast episode, but we're so used to just put the Band-Aid on it, fix it, make it go away. And we miss out on this really like intuitive process where we're observing our kid. We are getting to know, how they act, what their eyes look like before they're about to get sick. I mean, we have these skills built inside of us. We're created that way, and we're meant to truly help them through it and not just silence the symptoms, but really, really use them and get to the bottom of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I think we've touched on a few things today that we could just totally rabbit hole on. So,
oh yeah,
I'm sure people will be like, okay, I need to learn more about that, and we'll invite you back.
I'd love to. Yeah, this has been a blast.
Go on some deep dives. Yeah. Well, Emily, it was an absolute pleasure talking to you today and learning, and hopefully others feel empowered to go learn more and gain some wisdom today. Not just knowledge, but also some wisdom. And I'll put everything in the show notes. And thank you for coming on.
Yay. Thank you so much for having me. This is fun.
Thanks for listening to The Young Granny Show. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and share with your fellow old souls. Until next time, keep embracing your inner granny.